everyone. My name is Rachel Thomas. I am editor at SME Media. Today I'm here at the Manufacturing Technology Series Southwest in Dallas, Texas, and I'm here with Will Healy from Universal Robots here for our daily wrap-up video. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Been a really great day.
Good, good, good. So, I just want to hear from your experience at the Manufacturing Technology Series Southwest. How has it been today? Like, what are some cool things you've been seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm always excited to see robots, right? So that's always exciting. But I think you're seeing a lot of folks talking about AI. You're seeing a lot of folks talking about workforce, and you're seeing people talk about automation, which I think are all really important topics right now that people and manufacturers are trying to figure out.
Yeah, for sure. And so, attending all four MT series
Yeah.
events this year, what are some of those overall trends that you're noticing?
Yeah, I think people know they have to invest in automation. They know they have to invest in updated equipment. In the US we kind of have this philosophy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And so I think what we're realizing is we've had that ain't if it ain't broke, don't fix it philosophy for a long time, and now our equipment's getting kind of old. So talking to a lot of people at the show about how do they make their next investment? How do they invest in automation, or how do they invest in a new machine with the newest technology, or how do they invest in software that can make their business more productive? So when I look across all of the different events that I've been to for the MT series and all the different locations, manufacturers all over the country, they're all struggling with the same things like workforce, and they're struggling with trying to get capital to make investments and try to figure out how do they balance their supply chain challenges with meeting their customer expectations. So I think everyone has similar challenges, and I like that the people are coming to try to learn from each other and attend the speaking sessions. Those have all been really well engaged and attended this year, and I really like that. And people are trying to learn and figure out how to do this better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you attended MT Series Southwest when it was Hughes Tech, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are some overall changes you've noticed between it being, from Hughes Tech to MT Series Southwest?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's interesting you say that. You definitely see a shift from heavy oil and gas attendees to some other industries, and I think that's really important. When you look at Dallas to Austin and all this whole area, there's a lot of manufacturing coming to Texas, and so this is a show that has a lot of opportunity. There's not a lot of big automation or manufacturing shows in Texas, so this is a really good show, not just for machining what typically used to be, but also for all the different manufacturing processes. You see palletizing over here over my shoulder, and you see machine tending on CNC machines. You see welding, and you see, traditional manufacturing automation applications, even automotive and all kinds of things in Texas that are all kind of being covered here in Dallas. And so I think that's a little bit interesting about this location is you get a much more broad mix of manufacturers and manufacturing organizations and industries and subsegments here in Dallas as an event location.
Awesome, yeah. So you had a panel session today
Hmm.
on automation
Yeah,
and AI, and that was for small and mid-sized businesses, how they could
yeah,
do that. And so one of the examples you shared, which I really enjoyed, you had shown just how, image processing capabilities have changed even in the last 3 years.
yeah,
And so for those who weren't there, he had shown examples of Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter and, showing him as a CNC expert and things
yeah.
like that, a machinist, and just how it has gone from 2022, where it was a very abstract view of, Daniel Radcliffe, to, a picture now that he put in as, Harry Potter as a CNC specialist, and it just showed like a very specific,
Oh yeah,
detailed. I remember he mentioned, you see the chips on the floor by his
absolutely.
feet.
Yep.
So can you talk more just about how image processing capabilities have changed and how AI is, like, what that means for manufacturing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really important topic. I travel all over the world for my job, and I see a lot of ways that automation is being implemented.
Hmm.
And I would say the number one thing that I see around the world that I'm not seeing in the United States today is cameras on robots. And so when I go to China, nearly every robot has a camera on it. When I'm in Europe, a lot of robots have cameras on it. And so when you look at that and you look at how we're doing it in the United States, we're really kind of behind. And so image processing, that's why I shared this story, is to try to evangelize a little bit about our caveman brain is really, our cavewoman brain is very bad at assessing risk, right? We're not so great at risk this fast. The way that it's changing image processing, we're really not so great at assessing how fast this risk is changing and how fast this technology is evolving. Our brain just can't keep up with that. And so if folks have worked with machine vision applications before or tried to put cameras into automation before, 3 years ago, yeah, it was hard and it was really challenging. And I have trauma from trying to install machine vision. But what I will say is, in the last couple of months, this is accelerating and the capabilities are accelerating in a way that is just really revolutionary and different. And so we have to look at image processing and AI and how we use AI with cameras, with robots, to do physical AI things. And I think that's really what you're seeing moving forward. And that's what I was trying to communicate to folks today. They have to try this because it's here.
Yeah. It's become it's ingrained in every industry, not only just manufacturing. Absolutely.
Yep.
And so, can you also elaborate? I really also liked how you had talked about the people, process, product method.
Yeah.
So, how can people and how can these companies implement that mindset into their work?
Yeah, I think it's a really important thing, right? And so when you're trying to assess what technology to get, whether when you come to a trade show like this, or you go to a little distributor event, or you go to a big national trade show or a global trade show, it's really important that you don't get sucked in by the technology without first talking to your people, right? Your frontline people, the people building every day, your frontline supervisors, they know your business better than anybody. I bet they know your product better than anybody. And they know what the problems are and the challenges are. So starting with those people is really important to be able to understand what are the challenges in your business before you go buy technology. Then you have to talk to those people about what are the real processes we're doing to build or manufacture something. You may have a work instruction, but I guarantee, and when I present in front of audiences, everyone nods and smiles or even raises their hand. I guarantee there are 3 steps in your process that are not in your work instruction. And so no matter how much you try to document things, really the only way you're going to do that is by talking to the people and understanding what do they do and watching how they work and understanding how they work. That's how you know your true process. So you got to talk to your people first. You got to understand their problems. You got to go and understand your real process, not just your work instruction, and then go find a technology that solves the problems of the people and helps you make your process better. Because if you automate a bad process, you're just making a lot of bad stuff faster. And no one wants to do that. So
Yeah.
that's a really important progress. The only last thing I'll add is if you start with your people and you ask them, hey, like what sucks about your job? And they say, you know, I really hate this one motion I have to do all day. By the end of the day, my shoulder hurts. Right? You tell me that. And then I bring in a robot that says, hey, no problem. I brought this robot in so you don't have to do this all day. And now you can throw the football with your kid at night, right? That makes them feel good. It makes them feel invested in, and it removes this part of their job that honestly probably shouldn't have been a person's job in the first place.
So, what are some other ways that, from what you mentioned, that companies can practice automation and just implement into their strategies?
Yeah, I think if people are trying to figure out how to automate, I think they have to look for a project that's important, but not the biggest problem in the plant. Some people try to tackle the biggest problem in the plant, and that is a real challenge. Their chances of failure is high. It's a very visible project, so there's a lot of pressure from the management. So trying to find something that has value, but it's not the biggest problem in the plant. There's some really interesting studies that say, half of automation projects fail because there's not planning and strategy, and you have to have a champion. You have to have an owner. You have to really assign someone who's their job to really own the implementation of automation in your plant. When you have that owner and you have that strategy and you have the buy-in, you're going to be successful.
Yeah. And I'm really a big fan of this, people first mindset. It's never about, replacing people with robots or anything. It's about how can we make their jobs easier, more efficient, and kind of like a cobot, like collaborative approach to it. So
yeah, absolutely. When automation and people work together, that is the best outcome. You're going to get the best productivity. You're going to get the most robustness because you have people who are being flexible. There's a lot of really great value out of having automation and people work together in a space. And so you're really getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for tomorrow, you also have another session that you're doing. So for the people online who are attending, our show tomorrow, what can they expect from your session?
Yeah, absolutely. So tomorrow I'm going to dive through real quickly a whole bunch of different market studies and look at what's going on in the industry, because a lot of small to mid-sized manufacturers don't get the opportunity to sit down and look through the reports, or they might not have access to the reports or even know that the reports exist. So I'm going to quickly go through data and show what's going on in the market, what's challenging about the market, what's working in the market for small to mid-sized manufacturers, and help direct folks on where they could be successful and how they can be successful with trying to implement automation or to buy a piece of capital equipment. So they should definitely join me if they want to kind of hear about the market and updates about the market, and then if they want some ideas about how to overcome any headwinds they're encountering.
I love it. A day one wrap up and a day two sneak peek. So thank you for being with us today, Will. It's really appreciated.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here, Rachel.
Thank you.